So what's the significance of the habit to me? I like to think of the habit as, I'd like to think of it as an allegory of faith and works, or faith and love. We could put the habit in the place of faith. The letter of James tells us that faith without works is empty. And he says, show me your faith. You say you have faith without works, and I will show you my faith through my works. So that's an allegory, I think, because I can wear the habit. That could be like use that as a model for faith. But if there are not love, faith, joy, all of those things that we associate with the person of Jesus Christ, if those things are not actually coming through me, then my wearing of my habit is, as Paul said, faith without love is like an empty gong. And so that's what the habit, if you want to say that's what it means to me, hopefully it is a vehicle by which the person, the relationship with Jesus Christ that I think has been established between my heart and his heart, hopefully people have an encounter with that, and that the habit then becomes a vehicle by which people then can feel that they can approach Christ in some way through me. I wear the habit, first of all, because I belong to St. Vincent Archabbey. I'm a member of this monastic community, and there is a long history of people wearing a particular kind of garb, a particular kind of garment that reveals an inner reality that is supposed to be there. So all of our faith as Catholics, all of our lives as Catholics is supposed to be founded on what's called a sacramental principle, which means that there's an external reality, an external sign, which is supposed to reveal, make present a deeper internal reality. So I think in today's culture, if we take a look at a lot of the things that we're dealing with, a lot of things, not that we're dealing with, but a lot of things that people do in our culture today, we are very big on external signs of people tattooing themselves, or lots of piercings, or the clothes they wear, or even, in our college community, maybe it's coloring your hair a particular color or cutting it a certain way. All of these are, I think, are people's ways of saying there is more to what you see of me than simply this person here. There is more going on inside of my heart, inside of my life, inside of my soul than what you see, hear, and experience through normal signs. And so I want to try to make that available to you and present to you through other external signs. Like a lot of times tattoos are when you talk to people about tattoos, there's a lot of meaning and significance to those. If you actually talk to people like, hey, I noticed you have a flower here, or you have an eagle here, or you have a phrase on there. Oh, well, let me tell you about what that means. And so I think that the habit has a particular significance in our present culture, because this is just simply my way of saying, let me show you, hopefully, if you ask me about the habit, why I wear it. I remember one time I wore it at a scientific convention. I was wearing it at a conference where there were 30,000 scientists there, all presenting their data, and they're giving presenting their data, whether it was in a poster or an oral presentation. And I had a young lady come up to me, and she looked at me and she did one of those things, and she said, "What's this all about?" And I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" and she said, "Well, is this like a costume, or like what's going on there? Is this for real?" And I said, I actually, I'm here, I'm attending the conference. I have data that I'm presenting later this week. And I'm also a Catholic monk and a priest. And I'm in graduate school at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia. And she said, oh, okay, that's cool, if that's your thing. And then she said, well, I figured that, I thought that you might be the person that people were talking about, because people are tweeting that there's some guy walking around here in a Jedi Knight outfit, and I thought that might be you. And so I said, well, maybe that is me. It's not a costume. Hopefully there's a deeper reality. I happen to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and then it sort of went from there. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like to wear the habit. Wearing it here on campus, it's not such a big deal, but when I happen to be, especially at places where there's lots of science, people in my area of study, science, it provides a vehicle by which people then can talk about the Lord. They ask how did this happen? And it gives me an opportunity to evangelize and to give testimony to the great works of God that God has done in me and in my brothers as well. How's it impacted the way I live my life? Oh, wow. Great question. I think it's a constant reminder to myself anyways that I don't belong to myself. Because the self-will is very strong and very prominent in all of us. We want to live lives on our terms. We want to live our life according to the way I feel, or the things that I want to do. And it reminds me that I need to constantly bring that desire to live my life on my own terms before the Lord in prayer on a daily basis, and then hopefully by doing that helps facilitate the deeper conversion, interior conversion, which then results in my living my life a little bit more like the way that Jesus talked about in John chapter 5 and John chapter 6, when he said, I have not come to do my own will, but the will of the one who sent me. And he goes further to say in John's gospel, he said, the one who sent me is with me. He has not abandoned me or left me alone, because I always do what is pleasing to him. So that's really the goal of my life. Hopefully, that's the ideal goal of my life. And by wearing the habit, it helps me to recollect and call that to mind. Now, that doesn't mean when I'm not wearing the habit that I'm also not doing those things. As a matter of fact, it's probably, I want to even use the words, it may be more important and more critical for me to keep that in mind when I'm not wearing the habit, to make sure that my life is centered on Christ and upon the Father's will. I have a wallet, some change. I have a little mini stole for hearing confessions. I have a pair of glasses, and I work up in the Science Center, which means I probably have like 3 or 4 pens, which I do. I do not have a pocket protector though. I have a rosary, some chapstick, a little cross that was made by a man who was sober from opioids for 10 years, and he has since overdosed. And I got some keys and a handkerchief, because my dad told me a man never leaves home without his handkerchief. That's what I got.